morning, Max. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I know this is CX therapy, but I think this is going to fall a little more into marital advice, if that's
Oh,
okay.
I'm not
Um,
sure I'm the best person to advise you, but I can surely try.
okay, let's see where this goes. I've actually here in the U.S. we're at a point where you can fly again,
Oh,
and
that's a travel
recently,
story. That I
yeah,
feel that's a
yeah,
travel
big
story. Okay.
surprise, big surprise. Uh, and my wife and I were able to go visit our grandson who's in Chicago, and it's been over a year. Which is just painful. And thank God for FaceTime, but still very limited. So we're flying out, and my wife and I are both on our computers looking for flights, trying to compare things, and I'm platinum on American, so I'm checking American flights and what can I do with this and what can I do with that. And my wife is checking the cheapest of the cheapest of the cheap. And it started to get into some very interesting discussions and some very hard to quantify value that I feel on some of this stuff. Um, we were able to find a flight out that made sense on American, but going back, it was going to be over $200 more. So one thing I do know is it's being platinum, having the club, all that stuff is not worth $200 times two. So I know somewhere there's a price for this, but we found things that were like, well, it's $50 more, but so suddenly I find myself and my wife in these discussions of, well, I get the expensive credit card, so I get the club. When we go, we can stay at the club. Well, can't we do that if we fly on the other airline? No, they only do it if you're flying on them. And my wife says, I don't care about that. So what? And I'm like, what do you mean? So what? You get food, you get a drink, and comfortable. How can you say I don't care about that? And then, there's the just the convenience. I can go through the line faster because I'm platinum and all of that. And it just, we'll go early. That's not a problem. And there's just all these things I value that she doesn't care about. She's like, whatever. I'm saving X amount of money. And then the other piece of it that I couldn't quantify, and it's something we've talked about. I've had situations where a flight was late. I was going to miss the flight, and I got rerouted without having to do anything. And I don't, I was trying, but think about it. If something goes wrong with a flight, we can get fixed up, and they're going to take care of us in a way that, if we're on this airline, it doesn't know us or care about us, we're not going to get. And she's like, and that part was just really weird for me because it was like, I can't quantify it. I can't point to it, but I've felt it and I've seen it. And it ended up, so it worked out pretty well. We went out on American, we went back on the other. My wife made a great point that the Admirals Club near the gate we were coming back home from was closed. There was another one far away, but she's like, see, how much good would your club have done us now? Um, so it just struck me the difference in how we value stuff. She took a separate trip on her own and ended up on an airline where it was $50 to carry on a bag. So she was figuring out how to it was a short weekend to somewhere hot. So she was figuring out how to put everything in the bag you can put under the seat and all of that. And I think because of business travel and the amount of travel, I fight for a little more. So it just, I mean, my wife and I are different, Julian. I guess that's okay. I don't know
It
what
is.
strikes
So,
you out of any of this.
first of all, it is. Second of all, you're not alone. I'm going to back you up on this one. But you and your wife are a marketer's nightmare. You are the worst kind of buyer persona that could be, for a simple reason is you're not a single buyer persona. You have different needs, values, and visions. And, I can relate because the insurance piece you talked about, if I talk to my parents or my parents-in-law, I'm going to get two completely day and night kind of visions. My parents would be all about insurance. It's worth investing because you never know what's going to happen. My in-laws are going to be against insurance because such a waste of money. What about if nothing happens and I've wasted that money my entire life? And, back to your story, the reason why you have different visions is because you travel so much. So you want to get the best out of it. But ultimately, when it's an internal flight and it's just for the weekend and it's a short flight, do you really need to get into the launch? You probably don't, but you feel you deserve it because you've traveled that much to get there. Why on earth would you not get it now that you can find it? So from a customer experience and a marketing perspective, you guys are terrible because we don't know who the buyer is because you both are the buyers. So how do I address this kind of customer? And from a customer experience or even an agent, even though you didn't actually have a conversation with customer support, but how could an agent ever satisfy someone like you when we don't really know what you need because you have two personalities, because there are two buyers in that group of yours? And that is making it so difficult. And that's one of the reasons why you and I had a chat a few weeks back about, I think that was your father-in-law, getting the youngster's customer service when he was not a youngster anymore. And that's a difficulty. How, as a company, can I please people if I don't understand who they are? And how can we understand who you are when you are making it so difficult, Max? So it's all on you here.
Honestly, I think yeah, you deserve the chuckle there. I think the companies marketed it right. They marketed to her, they marketed to me, and we go battle it out. And we have to make the hard decision. Is $50 enough to say, okay, I'm going to go get the posh treatment? 200 is too much. I don't know where that number is, and I don't have to figure it out. And it was a 4-hour flight, so it wasn't super short, but still, point taken. It wasn't. It was direct and it was domestic and all of that.
And it's fine. I mean, regardless of it cannot be objective, right? Everyone has his own needs and preferences. So regardless of how to be objective about it, if that's what you want, that's what you should have. The real question is, how do I make sure as a company I offer the right customer experience and the right pricing if the buyer persona is multiple? And that's where is the complexity. And I think for many companies, they're still struggling with finding out how to satisfy general buyer personas. Let's not go into that level of customization because I don't think the industry is quite there yet. So I don't know if that's going to help with your marriage, but you're not at fault here, or you both are, whichever you feel more comfortable with.
Okay, I'll take that. That makes a lot of sense. And, I guess we're going on a bit here, but I've got one last thought. Is some of the problem here is the craven, evil approach of the airlines of stacking on all this value only for some customers and getting to very low prices and nickeling and diming as an alternate approach. But we as consumers encourage it. It works, so you can't blame them. I mean, you can, but it's not going to do you good.
Yeah, well, I guess this is right, but they it's very difficult to find the right pricing and right package and right everything. I understand the pain behind, and trying to satisfy everyone never works anyway. So, I guess you fell in the wrong category here.
Yeah, I think so. Appreciate it.
Well, that was my pleasure. I hope I will be invited when you renew your wedding with your wife anyway, because I've definitely helped with that one.
Yes.
At least I feel I have.
That's a good point. You're keeping you're part of the bonds that are keeping us together.
Well, enjoy the rest of your week, Max. I hope that was helpful, and I will talk to you again next week then.
Sounds great. Thanks, Julien.
Bye.
Bye.